All right. In today's live stream, I've got a special guest that is going to be going over something kind of special, and I'm going to ask questions. I made a video, a tier list video, where I called a lot of distributions pointless. And I want to go back and review some of these quote unquote pointless distributions, but also you got to understand why they might be pointless to me. They might not be pointless to you because of the customizations that go in. I understand a lot of the customizations, and some of them I might not. So I wanted to bring in a distro maintainer of Fork of Arch. DarkXero is his name, from Xero Linux. And we're going to go over basically what customizations are done on a vanilla Arch into that. He even did a little fork of his project into its own little Rice theme for me, just on vanilla Arch. So it'd be really an interesting stream because we're going to get to dive in kind of the nuts and bolts, what vanilla Arch does really well, and maybe some things that you don't know that we can do better on this as well. I think, and let me bounce over here and have DarkXero introduce himself. And yeah, a big thing here too, having him on. You're from Lebanon, right? And I know you guys are currently going through a situation. So during this theme, you'll see down below here, there's going to just be a Ko-Fi link. If you want to help him in any way, shape, or form, it would be greatly appreciated. If you want to drop that link in chat too, I'm sure he'll drop it throughout the stream too, just to help him out, because I do appreciate anybody in the open source community that gives out their work for free. You know, that's the whole thing about open source, is we help each other out, and that's the beauty of this. So if you do have some disposable income, I highly recommend. I'm sponsoring him through GitHub, but also he has a Ko-Fi link here. Either way, I'm sure it would be good. So anyways, getting back to it, Steve, I just wanted to do that quick little plug and kind of go over this. How are you doing today, man?
In light of the current situation, I'm doing great. I just wanted to say one word. If people are wondering what the situation is, it's simply we just got hit with a 2-week-long intermittent power outage. So I had to pay $20 to get 2 hours worth of power right now to be on stream. So if we reach the $1,000 goal, I'll have a little bit left over to maybe get myself an AMD GPU so I can support Wayland on Xero Linux, because Wayland and NVIDIA is a nightmare. So
yeah, and for those that are not familiar, in Lebanon right now, they're going through probably the worst hyperinflation out in the world right now, to where, you know, what was $200 a year ago is now $20 in their local currency. So a pretty substantial hyperinflation.
It's the lowest. How do you call it in America? It's the in French it's called the SMIC. Salaire minimum. In Arabic is Had al-Adna, but in English, I don't know. It's the lowest pay. So the lowest pay went from $350 a month to $22 a month, and nothing is $22 a month. You can barely buy yourself smokes. Yeah. So that's a big devaluation. But for people with dollars that come from the outside with a lot of dollars in their pockets, they can eat like kings for $50.
Yeah.
But we live on the Lebanese pound, so I constantly have 2-3 million pounds in my pocket. So I'm a
man. Well, now Steve, I wanted to go over this one project that you've been building this past I don't know, how long does this take you to put together this fork you sent me?
This one took me around an hour.
Dude, an hour. Okay. I'm gonna drop over to my stream here, just to show what you've done here.
Because I had to create the wallpaper, had to make sure the packages do install without issue, because most of the packages that the Rice uses are mainly on my repository that I built from the AUR. But since we're going to be doing it on pure Arch, we don't have the Xero Linux repositories, so I converted it to pull everything either from source, and this is something we need to discuss. When it comes to theming, a lot of people are I discovered this recently, so I fell victim like everybody else. Installing themes should not be done from AUR or regular packages. Never do that. If you want themes to work correctly, you should install them directly from source if they have scripts. If they don't have scripts, well, you have to git clone and put the theme files in their correct locations in your RICE. But never install from AUR packages. Or let me correct myself. It's preferable you don't do it from the AUR. Some of them do work, like in the case of Nordic, they do work. But there's 80% of the themes out there don't work if you install them via packages because they require the correct permissions. And if you install from AUR, they will install into user share themes. You cannot modify permissions over there. So if you look at the line 15, line 21. Line 21. If you look at line 21, it says yay SYY, no confirm, and it installs packages from the AUR, even theme packages, because in the case of Nordic, because it's by Elvira Lara, he knows how to make them work on the AUR.
Gotcha.
So no need to do that. But if you go to my repository, if you can go to github.com/xero-linux, I wanted to show the difference. So go to github/xero-linux because I want you to see to show the difference. github.com/xero-linux. One word. If you scroll down, okay, I'm talking about Lebanese currency and stuff. If you scroll down, go to Nord, not Nord. Go to
Xero-nord Git.
No, Catppuccin, xero-catppuccin by Teddy Bear Killer. It's right above there, right above Doom. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is kind of insane. Like when you look at this is KDE, which is kind of nuts. Like you see, this is Plasma KWin. So you're kind of known when it comes to Xero-Linux for your RICEs and just kind of making it look sexy.
And this is not
for lack of better words.
I cannot take credit for this RICE. This is Teddy Bear Killer. Teddy Bear Killer even created this wallpaper that you see line by line. It's a line art. It's created of thousands of lines. There's the logo and the wallpaper. It's created. He used the Inkscape, and it took 2 weeks to finish this wallpaper. He painstakingly worked on this wallpaper. But if you go back to the GitHub, I want you to look at the install script. Show the install script because it's different to no other level. Install.sh. If you scroll down to here, line 47, 49, 50, line 50. You see git clone, recursive, and that's how it's installing the GTK thing. It's grabbing it. Yeah, it's not installing via packages anymore. It's installing directly from source because they have their own Python script. If you read line 51, cd gtk python-m virtual environment, because that's how Python is supposed to be used now, because it has its own virtual environment. And it does all the necessary stuff to install the theme. Because if you install it via the package on the AUR, your GTK themes, especially libadwaita themes, because libadwaita is the worst thing for theming, it will not work if you install from packages because the permissions are not there. If you install from source and you follow the guide from source, it will work because they know what needs to go where, what patch to run. So that's the biggest difference between and this took me a while to figure out. And if I told you that even the creators of Catppuccin have the wrong guide, I discovered this by going to Stack Exchange.
I'm just going to change the title of the stream real fast. What makes an arch distro is kind of the theme of this. I should have updated that before we started, but typical fashion, I forgot.
Even the Catppuccin developers did not update their install script to run in the virtual environment for Python because Python changed now. There's a video all about that. I'm not going to rehash it.
Yeah.
It suffices to say you should use a virtual environment because if you use Python the old way, you're just going to get a big block of text explaining to you how to properly use it. So, but thanks to Stack Exchange, I figured out what the commands are, and you see that for libadwaita, I have symlinks. Scroll down to line, line 63, 63, yeah, 61, 62, 63. I do some symlinking for libadwaita to work.
Yeah, I see the symlinks right here.
Yeah. So
I got you.
all this is what goes into rising. It's not just applying themes, and this is what we're gonna get more into details over when we talk about Xero Linux. But this is something that took me maybe 6 to 8 hours to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
With constant apply, I have VM, so I apply the rice. It doesn't work. I reinstall the system and apply it again. Update the script, apply it again.
Yeah, I think that's a big sticking point with a lot of Linux too, is when you go into a lot of like Unix porn, for instance, and you're going through a lot of those, you're like, oh, that looks so beautiful. And then you go to make it yourself and you're like, wait a second, this doesn't look quite right. Or, oh, this CSS doesn't quite line up or whatnot. A lot of that comes from version mismatches between, like, let's say you're using GTK3 instead of GTK4. You're using different CSS assets because you did it from a Git clone instead of grabbing it from like a repository from Arch, or if you're on Debian, it's going to be a far different version. And you can definitely see that. So a lot of the stuff you're going over makes perfect sense, but that's why a lot of people get inconsistencies when ricing their Linux desktop. And when you're going through it, it's nice to see kind of the back end of these rices. And I wish a lot more people that do rices have proper documentation or understand all that goes into it, because I think more often than not, whenever I see a rice, a lot of times the person that got there has a hard time replicating it because of all the stuff that goes into doing it.
It's not easy. It's not easy at all. Ricing is easy if you just use widgets and you just apply a wallpaper and whatnot. But theme, because of libadwaita and things moving so fast, you have to keep up and constantly update your scripts. I even modify grub to because for whatever reason, grub has auto for resolution, but it never detects the correct resolution on any for some reason.
Don't I know it?
Yeah, so I had to set it manually via a set command. And to answer Steven Gamer, wow, like my name. So Steven Gamer is asking Latte Doc. Yes, Latte Doc. I live and breathe Latte Doc. And no, it's not dead. Before you ask the question, because I know you will, if you use the upstream version from GitLab, it's the latest. It's through receiving. It's their latest commit was 2 nights ago, so it's still being updated. It's part of KDE now. If you go to KDE projects.kde or whatever the name is, Latte Doc is over there now. invent.kde.org/Latte Doc. It's part of KDE now, so they took it over, and I will forever use it. It's my that's why I love KDE, because of Latte Doc. Latte Doc doesn't work on anything but KDE. It's like an essential part of it. But yeah, ricing, and we're all about consistency. When you apply, when we get to the point where we apply the Nordic theme, everybody's gonna notice that it's riced from grub to the desktop and everything in between. SDDM is riced, grub is riced, the lock screen is riced, the icons are modified, every damn thing is right. We strive for consistency. If there's something that activates my OCD, is not being consistent.
So I know you do a lot of rices on your stuff too, but there is some fixes in here too, and you do have a tool for Xero Linux. Can Arch users, just vanilla Arch users, use that tool as well?
Good question. No.
Okay.
Very simple, very straight up answer. No. It's we optimize everything for Xero Linux because this is our bread and butter, so to speak. We don't work for I know where it's coming from, because Eric created the Arch Linux tweak tool that works on any distro, whatever. Yes, good for him. But I don't want to, because if I created this tool that works on everything, I will have to provide support for everything.
Yeah.
So
And I
This
was just
second,
trying to, where is
you
that
just-
tool exactly? I remember it was in here.
It's upstairs. It's pinned in the pinned repo.
Oh, it's in the pin repos. Okay.
It's called Xero Welcome.
Xero. Oh, okay. Xero welcome. There it is.
Yeah, it's a fork from the Manjaro Welcome tool, but it does way more than the Manjaro one.
Yeah.
Way more. And like I told you before we started, I became proficient in thanks to Linux. I love Linux for that. I became very proficient in Bash scripting. So this tool, if you go to sources scripts, SRC scripts, if you go back and go to SRC scripts.
Oh, SRC scripts. Okay.
All my scripts are there.
I got you. So let's say I wanted to steal from you, as I love to do from many distro people. Like, let's say, you know, I want to install NVIDIA drivers or rank mirrors. It's really cool. This is the thing I love most about GitHub in general is, and what I kind of want to show people too is, if you find something from a distribution, you can steal it per se and apply those things. Like I know some of it will be a little bit difficult because like NVIDIA drivers, the packages might be a little different.
Look at the Wayland one. Look at the Wayland one.
Yeah, Wayland. Let's see. Where's that? Enable Wayland. Let's see what that script looks like. So you're enabling Wayland, probably switching KDE, I imagine. KDE and GNOME have Wayland support. Obviously, window managers are a very different beast altogether.
Because I have spins that use GNOME and XFCE. XFCE doesn't have Wayland support. So
yeah.
But look at that script. It took me 16 hours to write.
Yeah, I can see that. A lot of it is just the base script probably didn't take nearly as long, but then it's like all the little things that can go wrong will go wrong kind of thing to where you have to go through and look at it.
Yeah, like I needed the script to detect what GPU they're using. If they're using NVIDIA, it's the NVIDIA part that's long, and that took 16 hours. The others is just said here, said there. That's it.
Yeah.
But for NVIDIA, there's the MKinit CPIO flag. There's the grub flag. There's the fact that you need to be SU, not sudo, but SU, because those files are only accessible via SU. And if this, then that, very, very many if statements.
Yeah, and I'm looking through all this. It's very, very well done to where this looks just, you know, regular old bash script to where you could probably run this on an Arch distro. I wonder how it'll work, but
no, this would work on an Arch distro. Yeah, but
yeah. Obviously, you wouldn't want to support that.
Yeah, I prefer to say that
it doesn't work, and then if I totally understand where you're coming from there. But yeah, very, very interesting going through here, especially when you get to the rices page. I could see where this selecting the different rices that you do. I could definitely see how that would be a little different.
It just git clones the rice repository and runs the install script. But the install scripts of my rices use my repositories. So if you run them on an Arch distro without my repositories, it would fail. 404. Yeah, it's gonna fail. 404.
It wouldn't be able to resolve. So that would be an example of what wouldn't work. So that makes perfect sense to me.
Users wouldn't want to go in there and start modifying things because they might not know how to. And there's the enable snapper for BTRFS. That is a funny script.
BetterFS can be maddening sometimes, I will say.
Yeah, but all it does it checks it uses ls
very basic script.
Yeah, lsblk to check for your file system. If it detects a grub ButterFS, then it will go ahead and install the packages: ButterFS Assistant, ButterFS DU for DUF. Snapper support. Snapper support is a meta package only on the Xero Linux repository. It will fail on any other distro. And
you like Snapper better than Timeshift?
Good question. I don't use ButterFS. I don't care. I use Timeshift. I use Timeshift because I use XFS.
Yeah.
And we need to talk about XFS. Your remarks on last stream were a bit.
Yeah, I didn't have high things to say. What about them? Their lead dev leaving. And it going and getting depreciated. Am I incorrect in saying that? Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, DigiDude. Hey, DigiDude. I knew you were going to be there. He's a friend of mine that I've known since 2009. But anyway, the what were we saying? Oh,
Yeah, XFS. So like if XFS and like the lead developer stepped away from the project, if I'm not mistaken, and it's being depreciated at this point. Am I incorrect in those assumptions?
it's not being depreciated. He delegated somebody else to continue the project, but for the reasons for which he left, I agree. I would have left as well. The reasons he left was because he was being overworked, and a lot of his patches and fixes were being put on the shelves. Priorities were mishandled, and he was getting, and he did say, "I'm getting too old for this shit."
Did the Danny Glover cop out? I love it.
So yeah, he's tired, he's old, and he feels he's not getting his patches are not getting the attention they should. He delegated someone who he trusts, apparently, to start cleaning house and start prioritizing stuff. But currently, XFS is broken with the current version of Grub.
Okay.
So if you install any distro that uses Calamares that has XFS and the current Grub, if you select XFS and the install finishes, if you try to reboot after that, you will get the Grub rescue mode. It will go to Grub rescue mode because Grub is currently dead. I'm currently in contact with the Grub developers at Oracle, and they're going to release an update soon. How soon? God knows. To that issue. But now on Xero Linux, we maintain our own version of Grub, the old version that worked.
So walk me through this. Why would someone even think about doing XFS if it feels like it's almost on life support with just one maintainer or a very small bit? Because that just, why would you risk your system?
No one
like, let's say you're using this for a production machine. I would stay way far away from XFS given the circumstances.
I agree 100%. That's why on Xero Linux, with the current release, XFS was dropped to position 3, although we have a working version of Grub.
Right.
But I dropped it to 3rd position. They can still select it, but it's at their own risk. And because I use it, I kept it in because I still use it to this day. And because I do a lot of large file copies, because of its raw copy nature, it's really quick. No CPU overhead, no nothing. I still prefer it over any other file system.
Yeah, it is, I think, the fastest by a small margin, but it's still the fastest. I think ext4 is right behind it. And I think last I checked, BetterFS was kind of pulling up the end of the pack. Obviously, you get a lot more utility with BetterFS. That's why people use it. But it's typically the slowest of all the file systems from the last speed file system test I looked at. I mean, it's all within the margins of, acceptability. We're not talking like, oh my God, this is so much slower. You're probably not going to notice much of a difference, but you can.
I set ext4 by default, but I should have set ButterFS. People keep nagging me, telling me ButterFS. Between those three, ext4, ButterFS, and XFS, ButterFS is the better choice right now because of its backup and snapshotting features and stuff. But I don't use it, and I don't like this the sub volumes it creates. I don't.
I can see that.
I don't like the complexity of it.
There is a good bit of complexity there, and when you get into logic volumes and those types of things, it can get get really interesting for sure. I mean, I do enjoy like the atomic snapshots, but at the same time, you could do like an rsync with ext4 and get those snapshots using the same type of thing. It's just a little slower at that point, but you do pick up a little bit of write speed using ext4 compared to BetterFS from last I checked. So I mean, there's pros and cons to both for people to weigh in. So I think at this point, most people are choosing ext4 if they don't want complexity, and BetterFS if they want more of a robust backup solution with the added complexity.
That's why I put ButterFS in 2nd position. It's just a drop down in Calamares. Just click it. It's like it's not like I'm stopping people from using whatever they want. But to be safer, I dropped XFS to the bottom. Just don't use it right now. It's on life support. And the reason I like it, and the other reason I like it is because I have the computer that it was created for. I have the silicon graphics sitting in the store downstairs, so it's nostalgia also. So I use it
So
because I'm a tinkerer. So I
yeah,
know how
no,
to
no, no.
recover.
I mean, that's, I think everybody that uses Linux can call themselves a tinker, or almost all of them. Um, and it's kind of neat. So going through, just looking at, I think the Xero Welcome's a good spot to look at what you do differently from Vanilla Arch.
Yeah,
Looking at the
it's a
back end here, what would you typically do when you set up a system? Let's say you were going to install Vanilla Arch these days and tweak it out like Xero Linux. What would that look like? How does it differ from just a vanilla Arch install like I have? Obviously, this is what I'm using is vanilla Arch right here.
uh, well, it differs a lot, and people think that it's just a different coat of paint on top of KDE. At,
Sure.
on the most part, it is because it's a RISE, but there's a lot of under the hood tweaking that
So
takes
so
place.
so past like theming and some of the, obviously we've already gone through some of the obscure bits here. Is there anything from the system side of things that we need to
Yeah.
tackle? Like, what do we
Yes.
look at? Are we doing any system CTL modifications? Are
Yes.
we modifying the vanilla packages from KDE? Those types of things. I've seen some distributions take liberties, and I'd be curious to see what Xero Linux does in that regard.
We don't do as low level as other distros do because they have developers on the team. They have people who know how to develop stuff. Uh, so I am just one man with no development background at all. So I do what I can. I'm learning, still learning. 2 years is not enough for someone my age uh, to understand everything. But we do a lot under the hood. In Xero Linux, it's KDE specific, not Arch specific, but KDE specific because it's our flagship, it's our baby.
Uh-huh.
When it comes to KDE, we don't just theme KDE. If that's what people think, I need to clarify. KDE is, I'm going to use an expression that Chris uses on his channel a lot. It's called debloating because we all know that KDE out of the box, it comes bloated with services in the background that people don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
and just tons of extra packages. I absolutely hate the stock install of KDE. KDE is still like one of my favorite desktop environments, but I really hate like Contact, Conqueror, Kmail, God, Baloo
yeah,
indexer with KDE. You
Baloo
have
is the
just
biggest
so
one.
much extra stuff that's just not well done, and it's bottom
Yeah.
tier in my opinion. And that's why a lot of times when I'm going through and setting up a new install, I'm doing like a meta install of KDE, which is just getting the base packages and then slowly building what I want on top of it.
You
So
can do
what
that.
do you do in this regard? Because I'm kind of curious since you're more of a KDE shop.
I do exactly like you do. Xero Linux, first of all, does not include the meta package. I just refuse to use meta packages when it comes to desktop environments because they force things on us that we don't need.
Yep.
This is one thing that people, that's another thing that people don't understand about Xero Linux. I cherry pick each and every package from the meta package to put, and I decided after a lot of testing, and I'm saying after months of testing, because there's a lot of packages to KDE. Did you look at the meta package? There's useless game. There's like macOS ships with like a chess game and stuff like that. Really basic, non-fun games. There's a lot of services. Like if you install a vanilla KDE, you will have somewhat around 160, 170 services running in the background, including Baloo being enabled by default. Oh my God, Baloo is a nightmare. It indexes.
You know, I actually made a video back when I started my Linux journey. I think it was 2019, and I was noticing I was taking huge performance hits, and it was all from Blue indexing. And I
Yeah.
think I was in Vivaldi at the time and some other things, but I was noticing substantial slowdowns in my system, and my system was no slouch. So I was like, what in the world is going on here? And come to find out it was Blue, and I personally just disable Blue on almost every KDE install.
Yeah, Baloo is a nightmare. It searches the browser cache for some reason.
So with Xero Linux, you guys do disable that by default then?
Yeah, everything. I disable the splash screen, for example, because that's an annoying 5 seconds of waiting that we don't need. I disable services like, for example, everybody. If you look at everybody's videos about, I mean, ricers or tinkers or people who know their way around KDE, most of them who have multiple monitors
Yeah.
specifically, the first thing they disable is K-Screen because K-Screen is bugged out. It doesn't allow your monitors to sleep correctly.
Uh-huh.
On Xero Linux, it's disabled by default. So my screens sleep just fine.
So you just use like xset or just the xorg default, or what do you do for Wayland? What's the Wayland counterpart to that?
The Wayland, I don't touch Wayland because I am NVIDIA user, so
Okay.
that's why I have the enable Wayland in my script. For now, now it works after so many attempts, and everybody's gonna laugh here. Everybody who knows KDE, even you're gonna laugh. You know why I wasn't able to ever log into Wayland and getting stuck into this login loop? Because on SDDM, you know the drop down where you have to select the Wayland counterpart, the compositor. You have to select it on all 3 monitors or 2 monitors. If you select it on 1 monitor, but the other 2 or 1 are stuck on xorg, you're going to get stuck into a login loop. You have to drop down 1, select Wayland here, select Wayland here, select Wayland here. Once that's done, then you can log into Wayland. That's weird. That's completely weird. So I figured that out. I can use Wayland, but there's a lot of applications that I use that don't work. So on Xero Linux, I have decided, by we, I say I, because if I say we, Teddy on my server is going to kill me. But I decided to not support Wayland by default. Even when Plasma 6 comes out and they enable Wayland by default, I'll take it out. Until Wayland releases their first public stable release, and that might be a while.
Yeah, well, I know and you've talked to Brody, I think, in the past too, and it's really interesting because Brody's such a huge proponent to KDE, or not KDE, but the Wayland. You know, he's really pushed a lot more people to Wayland, where almost a lot more of the diehard Linux desktop users these days, I'm always getting asked about Wayland. But I find a lot of times when I'm on it, like right now, if we look at my desktop, this is actually Wayland using Hyperland type setup. So when I like a lot of the functionality and it feels pretty darn good. The main problem I have though is I now have to, a lot of my Synergy doesn't work anymore, and some of my legacy applications are not Wayland compatible. So we do run into some issues there to where I'm like, hey, this is a little bit problematic. So
another thing with Wayland is the fact that they use the security excuse to say that we will not allow you to use key bindings in more than one place at a time. So if you have a key bind dedicated to one app, you won't be able to use it in another app. This is because that's why the Buxry, the creator of Hyperland, decided to create his own fork of the XDG portal, where you get that allows you to use key bindings in more than a single app, and like OBS, for example. And when you want to send the key binds to the VM, you can do that in Hyperland, but you will not be able to do that on any other Wayland-based window manager or desktop, because Wayland themselves decided for security purposes, no, the keybinds are dedicated for this app. They will not be allowed to be used in any other app or in any other instance.
So a good example of where that would really affect Wayland users would be like Screen Key, where you'd see it a lot with YouTubers. Like, let's say I want to display anytime I press something on my keyboard, it just pop up. It'd be reading key presses between applications and outside of Screen Key, obviously. So there's some workarounds there, obviously, but by default, those types of applications would not be cross-compatible between Wayland
No,
and
it's
Xorg.
it's a decision from the Wayland developers. It's not the applications.
Yeah.
So applications in this instance will have to create their own workaround, and they're all going to be hacky workaround. The same situation with GNOME and theming. So when it comes to GNOME and their libadwaita situation, I agree with them. I agree with the GNOME developers. Don't theme GNOME. GNOME is not made to be themed. You want to theme, you want to theme your system. Just use a desktop environment that was built for theming. Use Hyperland, use KDE, use Mate, use Cinnamon, but don't use GNOME. If you use GNOME and you start theming, don't be surprised if your half your system is not themed or whatever. So I agree with them because I use GNOME. I have my own spin, Zero Linux Zero G, I call it, but it's Zero Linux GNOME edition. I use it. It's on this SSD. So I just boot Zero G to do a lot of work because if I want stability, I work on GNOME. I don't work on KDE. So I create the KDE flagship on GNOME.
Okay.
But to optimize KDE, I need to work on KDE. So I go back to KDE, work on KDE, go back to GNOME. But it's you should use everything the way it was meant to be used. If you start tinkering around and messing around with things that were not made to be messed around with, then it's on you to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, and I know that all too well. I think when I first came to Linux desktop, I took a regular Ubuntu instance with GNOME and then made it look like KDE. I mean, I don't know what I was thinking, but I mean, I got it there. But my goodness, on the next update, did it just break into 1,000 pieces in such a spectacular fashion, as it would, because it was using like 15 different extensions and a whole bunch of customizations to the like X settings. And I went in and just really tinkered and got it exactly how I wanted it to make it kind of look like Windows. But at the end of the day, it was GNOME. I should have just switched my desktop environment. So totally agree with you there.
Yeah. So I'm like KDE. I'm using KDE the way it was meant to be, customizable, customize. But when I go to GNOME, I don't touch it. The only thing I have on Zero G is a tool I will recommend to you if you ever use GNOME, since you use GitHub a lot.
I hate GNOME. I hate GNOME. If I can help it, I'm not going to do it. But yeah, go ahead and tell me the tools. There's going to be somebody in the audience that will use GNOME.
If you're in there in the chat and you use GNOME and you maintain a lot of repositories, there's a tool on the AUR. If you're on Arch, I don't know where it is on anything else because I don't use anything else. But on the AUR, it's called turtle-git. Weird name, I know, but the whole point of this thing, it adds entries to the context menu. I'll send you the link. 1 second. Oh, I'm echoing.
Oh, there's tortoise-git, Windows shell interface to Git. It's something different.
Why am I echoing? I can hear myself again through something.
Oh, are you echoing?
Yeah, I can hear myself from your end. It's like bleeding to you.
Really?
Hello?
Yeah, audio is fine on the stream, so it might be some. So you are using a custom setup too that we should probably point out. You're on a Steamdeck right now because of your power situation. So you're kind of like, instead of having like a traditional laptop, you've got kind of a special setup to just make some redundancy with what you're doing, right? And here's this turtle git that you got going on here. 1 second. So the turtle git, we're looking through it. It's actually been renamed from turtle git to turtle. It's hosted through GitLab and gnome.org. It's a GTK4 front end using PyGit 2 and a Nautilus 2 plugin support. Oh, that's really neat. So basically it expands Nautilus to where it can see current commits. It can pull and push directly in Nautilus. See, I love Nautilus. Man, it kind of makes me want to... Let's see, what would this look like? Let's just say we do Nautilus. What if we don't install GNOME, but we grab this, clone it, and then try and run it?
Yeah, well, you need to do a few things before it works. It's not just plug and play. you have to enter. You have your you have your Git credentials on your system. You're a Git user. But
Yeah. I
yeah,
always use GH. So actually, I don't know if that's set up here.
KDE
Yeah.
framework. It's a dependency of one of the packages on your system.
Yeah. Let's go. I always like updating my system on Arch on live streams. It's very entertaining.
I love this too.
So we got Nautilus now. So if we launch Nautilus, let's take a look.
Did
So
you
here
did
is
you
Nautilus.
did you install Turtle?
I have not installed Turtle yet. So if we cancel out of that, let's do a search for Turtle.
Okay, first you have to kill Nautilus using a special command that they give you at the bottom of the Turtle Git.
Okay. So the Turtle here, let's see what we got.
You have Turtle. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, down, all the way to the bottom.
It does not go all the way. This is it. This is all they give me.
Okay, Nautilus dash Q and then Nautilus dash no desktop.
Okay.
Yeah, to kill Nautilus the right way so Turtle works.
Ah. So this dash no desktop.
Yeah. Nautilus dash no dash desktop.
Okay.
Okay, now okay, and now dash D. You have to do the dash D after that. I don't know why they have it backwards. So you kill it from memory and then install Turtle Git. I think you can install it from source.
So should I quit out here?
Yeah. Run the Nautilus dash D in terminal.
And then Nautilus dash D, you said?
Dash Q, yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. I just did Q.
Yeah. Now, no D. Forget the D. I was reading it upward, back, flipped.
Okay. Yeah. So I see what you're saying. So we've quit Nautilus properly. Let's try this out. I mean, this looks like such a cool tool. It'd be enough for me to switch back to Nautilus. I've always liked the look of Nautilus, and I know it's a little bit blasphemy, but let's see if we can't pull this tool into Hyperland.
Yeah, you can install it with Python. They have a downstairs install. They have a install section.
I see. So this is Python.
Setup. Turtle installation.
All right. So we got.
Oh, that's not the right way. Python has changed.
Yeah, you'd have to do the V&V, right?
Yeah, or pipex. Just use pipex. I use pipex now.
Okay, pipex would probably be faster and easier. Let's just try that. So let's go yay s pipex. I can't remember what is it? Python pipex. So Python pipex. All right. And then pipex
and then you git clone the repository or pipex install turtle, I think, or turtle-git.
Well, I think they renamed it just Turtle, right?
I get it from the AUR. It's still called turtle-git.
We can take a look on the AUR. Let's see. So let's go Turtle.
Yeah, Yaya. Yaya is grandma in Greek.
Turtle-git right here is what they currently have. So let's.
Because it's still a work in progress. Turtle-git, and Josh from Matt's podcast. He's the one who got me. He's the one who got me to that tool.
I got you.
He's full of information. That guy, awesome guy. Yep, it's got a lot of Python dependencies naturally.
I mean, I use Python for other projects too, so I don't mind at all. So we got Turtle in here.
Now go to a repository on your system.
What about this Python Nautilus? I feel like that would be needed as well.
I don't know. Do I have it on my Xero-G? I don't. I don't remember.
Okay, let me see. First, I got to check to see if my GitHub. Am I even logged into GitHub? I am not. All right, let's go back to this screen. I'm going to just hide things. And
yeah, don't dox yourself.
Yeah, I've done it 1,000 times, but yeah, a lot of people don't understand. Like a lot of distributions, a lot of things are kept alive by just a handful of people. A lot of people, some of the diehard supporters are really what makes a lot of those projects possible. A lot of the contributions.
Yeah, it's thanks to those people. And I'm gonna post the link to Ko-Fi. But yeah, Turtle Git saved my life because I'm a visual guy. You know why I love things like that? Because I'm visual. I need to know which file was modified, which is already in on the repo and stuff like that. So I need to visually see it. I need check marks. I need red exclamation marks. Without those, I cannot function. On KDE, it already exists. The plugin is in Dolphin already by default, so I don't need that.
So here is my GitHub right here. Let's go into like my NeoVim. Now, where would be the Git turtle CLI? How do I see if that's enabled?
Oh, you have it didn't enable. Oh, why didn't it enable? The turtle deck Git. You should have it in the right click already. I'll share my screen and I'll show it if I can. 0G01.
Yeah, I'm looking, I'm like, that'd be a cool little tool. And also it could be, you know, I might be missing some dependencies from GNOME because I did just install Nautilus as well. So that could be a
Maybe.
problem.
Oh yeah, maybe because
So
this is
I'll
like
tinker with that later. That's an interesting project though. I really like it. I'm
yeah
kind of getting
because
back to like the point of the stream because I'm a little bit under the weather and I'm going to have to probably shut it down soon. But I did want to kind of go over real fast. Was there anything else that we want to talk
yes
about when it comes to like modifying from, you know, your
yeah there's
vanilla Arch? What other customizations would you say you want to go over that maybe we hadn't mentioned yet?
just services your the services, the KDE services, the yeah, mostly KDE because Arch doesn't have any services. Arch is just TTY.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of modifications to visuals, modifications for uh, settings, so users don't have to go in. Because there's one complaint about KDE that people mention a lot is, oh, settings are bloated, settings are very confusing, and whatever. I do all that for them. I optimize all the settings so they don't have to tinker with them. A lot of work and testing because you cannot disable everything. You cannot
Right.
enable everything. You have to balance it out. So
What
that
would
takes,
be some custom? What would be some non-stock settings you do from KDE's standpoint?
like, for example, auto mount drives. If you auto mount if you plug in a USB drive and it auto mounts, sometimes it causes the, and I don't know why. I think it's a KDE issue. It's been there for a long time. When you plug it in, it either doesn't auto mount or it errors out or it crashes KWay. So I had to disable these things. I enabled window tiling. I included window tiling in Zero Linux. It's called Bismuth, Kwin Bismuth. I know the project is dying or dead,
Yeah.
but it's receiving a few community commits from time to time, and there's a fork of it called.
Yeah.
There's a fork of it. I forgot the name of it. So because Wayland is the up and coming thing, so they're working on window tiling for Wayland, but it's there's a lot of tweaks, under the hood tweaks. I cannot list them all, or else we're gonna be here for a while.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, I know for me, like the big tweaks I would hit, let's say I ever was going to spin my own KDE style distro, would be probably KDE sessions. I hate how it saves sessions and restores
oh yeah,
sessions. That's a
disabled by
pretty
default.
egregious waste of resources. So if you're not familiar when you have KDE, when you go to shut down, a lot of times whatever's left open, it tries to save exactly the session that's there by default. So I always make sure, hey, just terminate that session, start a new session on new boot. I don't know why that's not the defaults for KDE, but just to kind of elaborate on some settings that
Yeah,
I would change with a KDE
already
customization, the sessions in KDE are pretty bad.
already disabled on Zero Linux.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's
so
one of the, I figured that was one that you hit, and we already went over like disabling the blue indexer, which can be a little bit rough as far as resource usage and be a little bit unpredictable.
yeah,
And then
so
obviously debloating.
I want to share and show how Turtle works on my system. You see the green check marks on my documents,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and when you see right click, in right click there's Turtle.
I see you can got the differences, the log, additions. That's kind of
Yeah,
nice. And then it sure probably like if you create a new document, it'd probably be in red or something for
yeah, and you have to sync. and you see
Yeah.
if you have any changes, you commit, and when you see when you're done, you click commit, and it will show you the head, and just click commit, done deal.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I'll
Yeah,
see if I can't get it working on just Hyperland. I'll mess around with that. I appreciate the shout out on that
yeah,
project too.
but I'm running Zero Linux and I'm live on the Steam Deck. So it's Jupiter One. Jupiter One, as everybody knows, is the Steam Deck, and I'm running Zero Linux KDE on the Steam Deck and the latest kernel. And as you can see, I have Vivaldi. I have everything working. I have my tool. Everything works. By the way, that's what Zero Linux looks with the current release. We're
Yeah.
using this wallpaper, and everything works. And this is the lay-in theme. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, everything works. I even have Zonotic on here, and Zonotic runs like butter on Zero Linux on the Steam Deck. So in case you don't believe me, here it is, Jupiter One. I'm on the Steam Deck.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I mean, it's really kind of amazing on the Steam Deck, all the stuff that you can do. Uh, I originally thought the Steam Deck was kind of be a bust because of just given Steam's track record with Steam machines and stuff. But I've been
No.
immensely satisfied with it, so much to the point where I don't even play computer games anymore on my desktop for the most part. A lot of times when I get done with work, I'm just like, okay, well, maybe I'll play a game in bed, and I'll just have the Steam machine kind of off to the side. But I'm
Yeah,
gonna shut it
well,
down, man. Thanks so much for coming on today. It was great having you. I'm sorry I'm
we
a
didn't
little
get.
bit under the weather. I'd go a little longer, but I am fading over here.
Yeah, no,
I
I can
still
feel
gotta it's good take some take some
maybe.
electrolytes and get rehydrated and probably pass back out. But at least wanted to get this stream going, man, help you out. And if you want, you see in chat, there's the Ko-Fi link for Zero Linux. If you'd like to support any of the projects that Steve here does, it's just really amazing. It's
Yeah,
so many great things, and like I said, if there's when it comes to these distributions, it's knowing the customizations that go into them, and hopefully like this stream helps somebody out there kind of understand some of those customizations, and even going in and looking at a lot of the stuff that goes into them.
maybe when the stream goes, the parts of the recording goes to YouTube, maybe you can have the Ko-Fi link and
Oh yeah, I'll put it in the description and all that. So when it
yeah.
hits the main channel, most of my audio and stuff, I'll have to see how it looks on that.
Yeah, but thank you guys. I really am thankful, and thank you, Chris, as always. You're my brother. So as I describe you to everyone, Chris is my brother from another mother.
Well, thanks, Steve. It was great having you on. Take it easy, all. I'll see you guys on Thursday. I should be feeling better. I already feel like I'm on the upswing here, and
I'm gonna
with
be on the chat, of course.
yeah. And if there's anything else you'd like to say before we take off here,
Yeah,
Steve, I give the floor to
just
you.
just one thing, and it is we need to work. We need to work together if we want Linux to grow and become the thing that we all hope it will become. We have to work together, share ideas together, stop the hate in the discords, and stop forcing each other's opinion on everyone else. Just accept whatever, be accepting to everyone's choices. Don't just belittle them for the choices they made. If they don't agree with your own choices, uh, just don't be vocal about it. Everyone is entitled to their own choices for whatever reason. Uh, be loving and be welcoming. Don't just ban users or just shit talk users for doing things differently than you do. I know you want to protect your own ideologies, the tools you use, but there's no need to be animalistic about it. No need to hate. Just be friendly and support each other. I need support to continue Zero Linux. A lot of other developers also need help. There's an up and coming distro called Rhino Linux, which I think you looked at or you need to look at. That's not just another distro. It's a good distro with good things happening. They need help the same way I need help. Instead of just shit talking them because they ask for your help or just ignoring them, help them up whenever you can. This is how Linux will grow. If we don't do that, Linux will just be stagnant. And currently, as I said on, there will be an interview with Nicolas from the Linux experiment coming out soon on my channel.
Yeah, Nikolai's the KDE dev, right?
No, I'm talking about the Linux experiment, the YouTuber.
Oh, yeah. Nick from the Linux experiment. I was thinking of the KDE dev for some odd reason.
So I did an interview with him. Not interview, just a meetup. So like I said, like we said together, just now Linux is having growing pains, a lot of growing pains. Everything has growing pains. Right now, Linux is going through that, and it's causing it to go stagnant. We're just getting more things, not like you said. There's a lot of pointless distros out there coming out just for the sake of coming out, because I've seen them come out and die after a month or two.
Yeah, and I mean, I get that, and a lot of people don't like. There's no hate there, and everybody's at different points in their Linux journey. The whole point is just to educate, and when it comes to contributions, guys, it's, you know, hey, if you can do a donation, great. If you can't, a lot of times just donate code, donate what you do know.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things. You know, getting a pull request or whatnot on your project. A lot of times, new upcoming devs, man, it really inspires them. So there's so many great things, and understanding
I've met
Git
a
and
lot
all
of
that
good,
is really important.
I've met a lot of good devs. So
Yeah.
there are good devs out there, like you said. It's awesome to meet those people and keep it going. Keep it going. That's my final word. And love and peace to everyone.
Well, thanks so much, Steve. Take it easy, y'all. See you guys on Thursday. Deuces.